views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
Hey, everybody, welcome. It's so great to be connecting with all of you. I want to thank everybody for filling in for me for the past several weeks, as I wish I could say that I was taking a vacation, but no, that's not actually what happened. We were creating something amazing, which you all will hear about with the network in the next several weeks. But for those of you out there, thank you so much for all of your support, and what great shows. You know, today's show with my co-host, Joy Elaine, is exactly what we need to talk about today. And that is the way of the future, preparing for non-duality with Joy Elaine. And I want to thank all of you for all of the emails, all your support, all of the phone calls. And I don't even know how you all are figuring out how to reach us. But Joy is one of those folks that have shown up on this earth to make sure that that vibration, that healing vibration, is being brought out to the world in many, many forms. You know her as somebody that has talked with people across the globe, that has created ways for us to heal. And you're going to hear about the mission today as well. She is the author of amazing books with messages filled throughout them on what the opportunities are for us to live in joy and to live in peace. Today's show is talking about the way of the future. Joy, it's great to have you here. Welcome to the show. Happy New Year.
Yeah, you too, Pat.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about the way of the future and set the stage for today's show for our listeners.
Okay. Well, first segment, I'm going to talk about something that many of us probably have experienced. I went through a really intense period of this in my life, of a roller coaster of emotions. It can be addicting. I was in a relationship that was not very healthy, and boy, seemed like disaster after disaster. And you kind of get used to that. You kind of look forward to the next disaster because you get your adrenaline going and you're all pumped up. But when that situation's over, then you crash. And it's really not the way that life is going to be for most of us as we move into the future. Because one of the ways that you can stop doing those kinds of activities or be involved in that kind of a roller coaster is that you get a hold of your random inner dialogue. Well, what's that? Well, that's that stuff that's going on in your head all the time that you're like, oh, blah, 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 and oh, about this, and blah, 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 blah. It's a chatter. It's a mental chatter. And once you have some tools to give you the way to clear that, you're able to not give that kind of thinking any energy anymore. You're going to have more clarity, and you're going to quit attracting unbalanced energies and situations. So now many of you have a lot of tools that maybe you can use. You have different energy works that you've studied or different modalities that will help you gain that clarity. I recommend SVH, Serenity Vibration Healing, because that's been the most effective one for me. And if you want more information about that and specific ways to help yourself, you can email me from my website, my author website, and ask me for assistance with that. And I'll be glad to make some recommendations. But think about having a mind that's calm and that's clear all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're moving towards.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm not quite there, but I'm a lot better off in that regard than I used to be, because these tools that we're going to talk about a little bit more later, and I'm going to give to you, will help you to stop that kind of addiction, or that emotional high, or those roller coaster things. Going to help you stop that kind of energy in its tracks and quit creating disasters.
Right.
It's, you can sometimes you think, oh, well, I brought that on because of such and such and such and such. Well, it's good that you recognize that, but it would be even better if you had some tools to stop that kind of activity in your lives.
Yeah. Well, certainly we are getting a sense of what the roller coaster rides are about. Whether you're watching television and getting plugged into the addiction of that, or numbing yourself out, or finding other ways to numb yourself out, the whole roller coaster of emotions is something that this country is feeling. And the world is feeling now more so than ever. So tell us what you mean when you talk about no more roller coaster of emotions.
Well, the first step in manifesting that kind of life is getting out of the way of yourself, because Gaia, Earth herself, is supporting this, our evolution and our advancement. All right. So we're not in this alone. And I know maybe many of you may have made New Year's resolutions, or maybe you've given up on that completely because you try those kind of things for a few days and you find you're failing, and you just get so discouraged that you just quit making New Year's resolutions. Well, I'd like to give you an example of why that might have been happening for you. Because if you've got a dirty floor and you put white socks on and start walking all over the floor, your socks are just not going to stay clean. Do you have that visual picture that I've painted for you?
Yeah.
So what you're doing with the energy works that you have, or with the trigger words that I'm going to give you a little bit later, is that you start cleaning the floor.
Mm.
And these are powerful tools. They roll through your entire life to do some clearing for you. And they're not just a one-time sweep. They are like a jackhammer that just keeps working to clear, so that you start clearing up your floor. You start clearing up your beliefs, your programming, your genetics, alliances with things that have kept you stuck in a life that perhaps you're ready to change. You got to clear the floor. It's house cleaning.
Yeah. There are people that say that, this is really the year of new beginnings for people. But let's talk about the house cleaning. How do we know that we're, sitting on the fence of having a house cleaning moment? How do we know what those house cleaning moments are? Meaning, these ideas of a roller coaster of emotion, right?
Right.
For example, this morning, I had a friend of mine send me a text message, already still continue to talk about the election and so forth and so on. And some of us are really electing not to turn that newscast on.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, some people are stuck in the same thing over, they're repeating over and over. And when your floor is dirty, you're going to buy into that, just describing that, and maybe it's a little bit of judgment. We're about moving towards neutrality, okay? That other people have their own stuff, and it doesn't necessarily have to stick to you. Mm-hmm. We can talk about that a little bit more, but you learn how to avoid those kind of situations. You learn how to let people. You've got the tools to help people quit pushing your buttons.
Yeah.
So, and that's what
tell us about these triggers, though.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's important to really talk about these before we go to break.
Right.
Because, we don't even know we're in a trigger moment.
Right. Well, they're amazing. They're part of the Serenity Vibration healing work that I do. Mm-hmm. And they work with your God self. That's the higher part of you, along with the creator, and they do something called quantum level reprogramming. Wow, huh? That means that they reach out into the all and the everything, and they gather up limiting thoughts, your random inner dialogue that's going on about whatever issue that's popped up, and they clear and rescript everything around this issue. And once you have this trigger activated, which I'm going to give you 2, and we're going to activate 2 of them right in the show so you see how easy it is. Once you have that activated, all you have to do is think the word, and this clearing is done instantly by the creator. One of them I want to give you later is called Gabriel's horn. And the other one is angels, angels everywhere. And you don't have to go around spouting those words. You can just think them, and they're instantly your God self says, whoops, Joy needs some help, and let's put this clearing in place right for her right now, this instant. So it's a trigger. It's just a pop, wow, you get it right now, and it just keeps rolling through your life to clear whatever is going on right in the moment. I love them. There's a whole bunch of them on my Serenity Vibration site, but the 2 that I'm going to give you later are very powerful. And they help me tremendously. And you can non-manipulatively, whoop, that's a big word.
Yeah.
Use them to help other people. Calling in the angels is not going to go against anybody's will.
Right.
And I explain that a little bit more later too. But trigger process is just very powerful. And as you're reading through my books, also I want to mention that there are lots of positive energies and work that go on in those books. And you even have a chance to view a screen, which you're going to do that a little bit later when we activate the trigger processes that take the clearings that we talk about in my books to a deeper level. And that's all explained in the very beginning of the book. You don't have to go, oh my God, how do I do that? How do I figure that out? It's a 1, 2, 3 step, and you're going to get a chance to do it later today. So that empowers the angels, the masters, and the guides, and the creator to just help you. You know, you don't have to go it alone. Yeah. That's the exciting part about the Joy Chronicles. It's a master team of millions of non-dual individuals that are just streaming their love to us and wanting to help us. But they can't step in and say, hey, let's fix Earth. We got to ask.
Well, that's what we're going to talk about when we come back. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about, we have to decide what we want in our lives.
Right.
And we have to decide, deciding what you want your life to look like is so important, because without that, you're not going to know to create it. It's so important. What does deciding on this versus that bring into your life? We're going to take a short break, everyone. And when we come back, we're going to find out how you can tap into the world missions. We're going to give you information about Joy's website. And we're going to talk about deciding. Decisions. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with my very special co-host today, Joy Elaine.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat, joined here by
Dr. Nusheen Darvish.
Dr. Pat Basili and Dr. Nusheen Darvish will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
I'm so excited to be talking about this.
We have so much to share.
Dr. Darvish and I are planning to do is connect the dots.
People suffering with all sorts of chronic diseases, it's time. It is time for them to transform.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio and help keep our mission strong.
For the loyal listeners out there that have been listening to this incredible show on Lyme disease, we are not going to let you down. We're going to come through stronger and enrich the platform for Lyme disease awareness through Lyme Talk Radio. The message will continue, the conversations will become stronger, and the healing epic.
Are you feeling stagnant or blocked in your love life, career, health, or finances? Experiencing difficulty focusing or setting and achieving goals? Tune in to Spiritual Diagnostics Radio with psychic visionary healers Carol Dorian and Suzanne Evans. Discover the cause and effect of unwanted patterns in life. Tune in every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. For more information, visit spiritualdeed.com.
Introducing the Lucid Planet, a digital gathering place featuring cutting-edge, high-vibrational content that will empower and inspire you to become the greatest version of yourself. Visit the Lucid Planet today to stimulate your mind, body, and soul as you connect with a global community of like-minded people. The Lucid Planet is edited by renowned psychologist and author Dr. Kelly Neff, who is here to help you cope with anxiety, connect to your higher purpose, uncover your true passions, and live your dreams. Dr. Kelly's fresh, compassionate perspective emphasizes growth, transformation, healing, and thriving. Even in the face of adversity, say goodbye to bad news and low vibrational media for good and become part of the larger collective of people working together to navigate the global shift of consciousness and transform the world from within. Join the planet, the Lucid Planet. Visit thelucidplanet.com. Welcome home.
On the cutting edge of the new mainstream, Christine Upchurch is passionate about bringing together science, psychology, and spirituality in a way that can be applied to our everyday lives for true transformation. The Christine Upchurch Show, stellar conversations to illuminate your journey, engages some of the most outstanding visionaries on the planet in lively dialogue to inspire you to become that bright light you're meant to be. Join Christine every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time on KKNW, AM 1150, and Transformation Talk Radio.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Thanks for tuning us in, turning us on. For more information about us, go to thedrpatshow.com or go to transformationtalkradio.com. And for more information about my co-host, Joy Elaine, Joy, let's take a minute and tell folks about the World Missions, but also let's tell folks how they can find out more about you and about your books.
All right. So my website is joyelaine, JOYELAINE.com. And there's links to the YouTube recordings and the weekly world missions I've been doing. We're up to about 9 or 10 missions now, and I'm delighted to bring them forward every week. They're only usually 4 or 5 minutes long. There's something that you can they're easy to remember, and they would be something that you could just implement when you pick a favorite one and you're sitting at a stoplight and you can spend 15 seconds doing your favorite. It's a way to help all of us to elevate and to advance. There's different subjects. One's, hugging a tree and set your heart free, working with the Ashtar Command, assisting animals crowded out of their natural habitats, assisting the elderly. So they're all these issues that we're dealing with on Earth. And I hope that you will join us and take part of those. YouTube, I've done a couple of really powerful, I believe, recordings called Authentic Truth. One is called that, and the other one is called Start Thinking with a New Head. And they give you some powerful trigger words also to start cleaning up your floor so that you can start manifesting what you really want in your life instead of a roller coaster of drama and experiences that you keep thinking, well, why do those things keep happening to me? Well, something needs to change, and guess what? It's you. One of the things that would be very important, and we talked about deciding, Pat mentioned talking about deciding what you want your life to look like.
Yeah.
Well, you want to keep that positive because, when you're designing that, you want to be thinking things like, I would like this, and I'm choosing this, and I choose to manifest that, instead of, I'd like to have this because I sure don't like the way it is now with so-and-so doing this and so-and-so doing that. And that's just kind of throwing water on your creation energy fires. You just leave out the negative stuff and only focus on the positive. And we've talked about that in some of our previous shows. That's where your focus is. That's where you're giving your energy. That's why, as Pat mentioned, still dwelling on the presidential race is futile. Focus on now and the future and deciding what you want. So how do you do that? Well, you need to have a clear vision.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then you can really start focusing on that and deciding what you want your life to look like opens the future up for that to manifest for you. Leave out the negative, accent the positive. I think that was an old song a long time ago. And Pat, maybe some people, if they're like me at one point in my life, I didn't dream at all.
Yeah.
I had no incentive or no hope of even manifesting a different kind of future. So I was pretty well stuck. And people might, a lot of people, maybe they're in that same position. They don't know what their future would look like. They haven't even thought about it. They're just grinding away in the day-to-day humdrum. And that's going to continue until you stop and say, hey, I need to do something different. So you got to change your story. And the first thing you got to do, I suggest that you do, you don't have to do it, but if you're tired of what you're doing and you want to do something different, you sit down and you think to yourself, I choose to know what would be the most ideal vision for my life.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just sit with it, okay? Now, you might think that you're just making things up because things will start going on in your head, and that's okay. You should have I hope you have a piece of paper and a pencil close to you so that you can start jotting things down. And you might think you're making it up, like I said, but typically when your heart communicates to you, it feels like your own thoughts. And you actually hear that communication before you sense or hear the words. So just sitting, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, sometime that's quiet, and I choose to know what would be the most ideal vision for my life. Mm-hmm. You will get something, I guarantee it.
One of the things I did want to talk to you about was, sometimes we say we don't know what we want for our lives, or we say we don't know what we're envisioning. And, it's really interesting. I had a conversation with someone over the holiday, and she was very, very clear, Joy, on what she didn't want. And I think sometimes that it's easier to almost think about what we don't want, to almost clear the way to get to the point of what we do want. And, the word want has a very bad rep. And I know that I swapped that word out with the word desire. We live in a life where words like expectations or manifestation have taken on an almost negative connotation. And I think it's real important for us to talk about the power that is there for us to set up an ideal vision for one's life. And then remember that we have the ability to ask big. So I'd like to hear from you about what the messages are about this idea of asking.
Well, that's a biblical thing, ask and you shall receive. But, many of us have asked and asked and asked, and we don't feel like we're getting anything.
Yeah.
We don't feel like we get what we want. Well, that's still related to programming. Maybe you believe that you don't deserve it or that you can't have it. You've asked so long that you've just given up asking. That's, again, something about getting clear about, what you do want, and then finding the tools that help you to clear away the blocks to that manifesting. As I mentioned earlier, many of you probably have studied some sort of modality, healing work or clearing work. And I prefer serenity vibration healing because it's worked the best for me. It's done a lot, done a lot to clear the programming that I developed over the years from what people told me and what I heard from my peers and what I read. Most of that stuff is just not empowering. It's old dimensional stuff. And we're not in those realities anymore, folks. We really aren't. If you're hanging on to that old stuff, you're back in the old days. And we are in the new times. We are in new times where things are speeding up. You're going to be able to manifest things more quickly. You might have noticed that, wow, you were thinking about that, and here it is. How did that happen? Wow. Well, you're a master. You are a master. You just kind of forgot that, along with me, for most of my life. That's our birthright. It's our birthright to be able to manifest with clarity, exactly what we want. And I encourage you to get rid of your old stuff so that happens for you.
We're going to take a short break, but before we do, we're going to be looking at this idea of how we bring into bear, as you talked about here, creating the future, creating a future, what it's going to look like. How do we tap into that? And the idea of neutrality. Neutrality is a fascinating place, and sometimes when we're there, the idea of not knowing there is the key to knowing we are there, isn't it?
Yeah. You're a funny Pat.
I know. That's kind of an interesting idea. I love the idea of being at a place where you don't think anything is going on in your life and you think there's something wrong with that. Let's take a short break, everybody. But before we go to break, please give out your website so folks know how to find out more about you and also get a copy of your books.
JoyElaine.com.
Awesome. JoyElaine.com. When we come back, we're going to be talking about, neutrality. The key. What does that mean? Does neutrality actually mean that you're not doing anything? Is that a misconception, fact, or fiction? When we come back, neutrality and Joy Elaine. We'll be right back.
Chris Stanis is a spiritual leader and healer and teaches a course on how you can transform your life through a meditation and healing system that will manifest your spirit's dreams. She manifested the Women of Wisdom Conference, the Women of Wisdom book, and this radio show. And she can show you how to change your life too. Are you ready? Visit the website and contact her at voicesofwomentoday.com. That's voicesofwomentoday.com.
Wow. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By. I'm telling you, I got to pinch myself some days because when each of us gets called to do something that we so not thought was in our wheelhouse to do for a purpose that's so much greater than us, we get to show up and shine.
If you would like to show up and shine on the Dr. Pat Show as a co-host or sponsor, send us an email to inspire@thedrpatshow.com.
If you're one of the millions of Americans suffering from anxiety, you probably know how powerless and out of control this emotion can make you feel. This is why it is so important to remember that anxiety is created by your mind, which means that you can learn to use your mind to uncreate it. Hello, my name is Dr. Friedman Schaub. My award-winning book, The Fear and Anxiety Solution, provides you with a step-by-step breakthrough process to understand and resolve the root causes of your anxiety and build a solid foundation of confidence and inner peace. If you're ready to take your power back, visit thefearandanxietysolution.com. That's thefearandanxietysolution.com or call 866-903-6463. That's 866-903-MIND.
Have you wanted to make more money without working harder or more? Maybe you've tried new ways to bring in extra income without success. Hi, my name is Deb Acker, and in addition to being the host of Truth Talk Radio, I'm an intuitive life coach and energy healer. I clear energy blocks to all areas of life, including abundance. Did you know many times we have an invisible income ceiling? So no matter what we do, our income never goes up, or if our income does go up, we experience an unexpected expense that negates this. How much would it be worth to significantly increase your income or even have unexpected income show up? When I was in the corporate world, I used these techniques to increase my income by tens of thousands of dollars without changing my work routine. In fact, I worked even less, and I now help clients do the same. If this resonates for you and you're truly ready for abundance in your life, I'd love to gift you with my pattern identification session. Simply contact me on the contact page of my website, DeborahAcker.com. That's DeborahAcker.com. And let me know you heard about this gift through Transformation Talk Radio. I look forward to connecting soon.
I've been struggling, hustling, thugging it forever. Coming to dig me in my yard. Now I've been struggling, hustling, thugging it forever.
Hey
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Joy Elaine joining me here today. The Way of the Future, Preparing for Non-Duality with me. I'm Dr. Pat, and Joy Elaine. Joy, before we talk about neutrality, and it's a big, big conversation, I would, again, love for you to tell folks about the mission, about your books, and about how they can find out more about you.
All right. Well, my website is joyelaine.com. You can buy all the books there. They're also available on Amazon. There's a lot of information on my website that I think you would enjoy tuning into. You can actually read the first chapter of each book. There's a table of contents for the book so that you can delve in and see, oh, there's that, and that looks interesting, and wow, I'd like to read that book. So investigate on my website. There's lots of information there. YouTube, 2 powerful recordings called Authentic Truth and Begin Thinking with a New Head, and weekly world missions. And if you have any suggestions for those, I'd be glad to take them to work on an issue that you feel would be benefit having people focus on. They're really fun. They're 4 minutes long. 3 or 4 minutes long. You can listen to them, pick out some favorites, and then they're so easy to do, but so powerful that you could just do them when you're sitting at a stoplight. 15 seconds here and there, and that makes a difference. That will make a difference because we are the people that vote on how Earth progresses. You individually have a vote in that. And if you're stuck in the old stories, like I said before, well, your vote's kind of not really casting much weight towards changing those stories and moving into a more empowering reality. I told you in the first segment that Earth herself is supporting that. Gia is neutral. She has no judgments about the things that that happen on the surface of her. She did mention one time, well, it would be, it's a little more beautiful to look at if there's not a lot of litter scattered around, but she's neutral about that. So how can we get neutral? Yeah. Well, reading the books, I think, will help because you see the situations that pop up and how the master's just like, well, what do we do? They don't panic. They don't hide their face in their hands and go, oh, my God, it's a disaster. And there have been some things that I felt could be disasters, but we were, thankfully, I was supported enough, and we put together, we have a wonderful team that just changed the energy of that. And it's very powerful to be involved in things like that. It gives you hope. It gives you encouragement that things can change. Things are changing, and they can be better. I didn't used to be neutral, and I still move into that every once in a while. It's of like, oh no. But I have things that I can do. I don't just have to sit there and twiddle my thumbs and weep. I can actually work on myself and bring myself back to more clarity. So again, use whatever tools you have. Tune into the missions, and you're going to enjoy these trigger words. I hope that you really get good at using them because they are very powerful. You don't want to stay in this. It can be an addictive cycle of getting into situations where you get beat up, or you get robbed, or you drink too much, or you spend all your money, or you gamble it away, or at one point in my life, I was in an addictive cycle of eating.
Yeah.
So you eat one brownie, and then you say, well, okay, I might as well eat the whole pan, right? And add a quart of ice cream to it. And I did that in the old days. And then you get to say, well, I'm not worth it, and I just can't do it. And it's a negative payoff. It's not something that you want to keep doing. So and the other thing is, you got to stretch a little bit to change your old story. Mm-hmm. You may have to make some choices. You may have to set some boundaries. Well, that was a word. I had no clue what that meant. People of my generation, women especially, we didn't learn anything like that. Now, I think maybe young people today are learning more about that, about saying, no, this is the line, and I won't allow something over that line.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think the generations have changed enough that, there have been opportunities to learn any number of lessons. And I think you're right about that. I think the women of today and the women that are have become of today clearly understand that there is a strength in being able to say both yes and no.
Right. So, you give people a chance to change, but if they don't or they won't, then sometimes you need to step away from those relationships or friendships. Now, the good news is eventually people are all going to come around to this higher way of thinking. So it's just kind of a waiting game. In the meantime, what you do is you step away from that, from your old stories. So what is neutrality? Accepting where everybody is. And if you don't care to participate in what's going on in their lives, you just step aside. It's like a bullet coming at you. You can take it on full and say, okay, boy, I'm going to dive in and put my mitts on and put on my hip boots and just wade into the situation. Or you can say, whoop, that's not for me. I used to do that. And you can just let it just turn aside. And so how do you do that? Well, you're going to have trigger words and, hopefully you're going to use your energy modality to stop letting people push your buttons. Because once those buttons don't work anymore, guess what? You have a life that's much more graceful and easy, and you can start doing that manifesting that you would be choosing of the things you would choose.
Yeah. This is part of, we were kind of joking a little bit about it before we went to break, about the idea of ask and you shall receive, or asking big. But I think it's important to have a conversation about what this means to be able to envision a future, and what that envisioning of a future is like, and how neutrality relates to that future actually coming to bear.
Well, one thing, as you're reading the Joy Chronicles, especially in book 2 and onward, book 1 is foundational. You learn about the possibilities of what the future holds, and you get a chance to start participating in the work. But in book 2, you really get to dive in, and it's really fun, because as you're reading these books, you are getting telepathic information. Whether you believe in that kind of thing or not, but that's how we're all eventually going to communicate. And you get to tune into this bigger vision of encouragement, of hope, of what's going to happen or what's possible, and how you can be part of that. Even just like one book, I think we probably get 6 books worth of information. So you can, I think you're going to be able to, as you laugh and as you cry and as you get really involved in these people in the book, because they're real, their stories are real, you can feel yourself growing along with them. And that's just because you can feel a part of something that's really so exceptional. And I'm thrilled to be able to be the author of these works, because it just feels like, gosh, it's a gift. It's a gift for me to bring it forward, and I hope that you take advantage of it, because it's a gift that I've intended for all of you on Earth, everybody on Earth, and people in other universes.
Yeah.
They tell me that the books are circulating in every universe. We've got 47 of them, so that's a lot of books.
Well, one of the things I also think it's important for us to talk about, and we're hearing a lot about it for this year, and it's something you talked about quite often, but I really want to spend quite a bit more time, and that is connecting at a telepathic level, and what that comes to mean. I have talked to more people over the past 2 weeks that are speaking about the importance of connecting to the masters. And masters is a trigger word for a lot of people. But let's talk about angels and guides and so forth and so on. How does that help us with this idea of literally bringing that future that we visualize into being?
Well, how about we talk about these triggers at this point, because one of them involves the angels. It's called, there's 2, both of them actually do. Are you okay with that, Pat? Is that part of your plan?
Sure, go right ahead.
Right. the trigger processes. I want to make sure that I get these to you because we've talked about them and they're masterful gifts. They're not just a one-time, whoops, sweep that up. They continue on, like I mentioned before, like a jackhammer. And once using these, see, telepathy is our natural, how we used to communicate thousands of years ago. That's our natural heritage. That's our birthright, and we're going to be able to do that in the future. Teleport, telepathy, all those cute, cool things. But we got to do some clearing the floor before we get there. So trigger processes. We're working with your soul and your higher consciousness, and the very first time that you use them, they're going to mop up your past because it's going to sweep through your whole life. And the second important part is that they will empower you when you consciously choose to use them. So you find yourself in a situation, you think, oh my God, I could really use some help. Oh, I remember I put that trigger word, and you just think it. Oops, there it goes. And instantly, it's not like, oh, I'm going to wait for 5 or 10 seconds, or maybe tomorrow I'll notice something happening. They're instant. They're a trigger. Pop. They go into place instantly. So let's talk about the first one, Gabriel's horn. It's a miracle, and you can actually go into Wikipedia and learn more about it. But it doesn't have a thing to do with the second coming. You'll read about a whole bunch of math stuff on Wikipedia. I didn't really understand it, but it sounded great. It actually has to do with calling Archangel Gabriel and a full contingent of archangels into your auric field. Now, auric field, that's just the energy that's surrounding you. So when one or two of the archangels stands in your auric field, their vibration actually raises your vibration. And this creates a field that actually blocks negativity from entering into about a 25-foot radius around you. Imagine how powerful that is. Perhaps if you've stood by someone that you think is really a great person, they're really elevated, it just feels good to be with them, right?
Yeah.
So imagine what it's like to have a bunch of archangels hanging around with you. Wow, it's like a salve on wounds of everything out there that has negativity. And if you're attracting some kind of drama, you want to have them with you. And once you activate it, it's Gabriel's horn, it's the trigger word, and they're standing in your auric field for 11 minutes. Now, they're not hanging around the rest of the day, but 11 minutes is probably enough to get you, out of whatever situation you've gotten yourself into. And you can actually, it can be interactive. You can think, Gabriel's horn, please help me to resolve this issue of, where the heck am I going to get the money to pay that bill? Or just general, please help me to resolve this issue. So Gabriel's horn, I suggest you might write that one down. All right. The next one is angels everywhere. And this is a great one because of the arrangement that we have on Earth. Angels can help us, but they can't push us beyond our readiness to receive something of a higher order. And they can't fix something if we are giving energy to the opposite of it. That's just how it is here. That's the way we set Earth up because it's a free will planet. So if you're still thinking that bad things are going to happen to you, they can do a lot, but they can't really stop you from creating whatever you desire. All right. But once you have this trigger activated, if you say angels everywhere, you don't have to say it. You can just think it. That'll help. And you can say, help me to change this dynamic. When you do that, you just gave them permission to override your stuff. Okay? That takes away the line in the sand that they can't cross, so that all of a sudden they can help you even beyond your own awareness. I love that one. I've been using it a lot lately.
Well, let's just spend a minute. Let's spend a minute to talk about these, and go ahead, and we're going to skip the break. Let's go back to Gabriel's horn for a minute, and then also I know that you're going to be doing a meditation or share a tool with us. But let's go back to Gabriel's horn for a minute.
Right.
And you talk about this because, well, several reasons. One, it has to do with the nature of the horn, but we're talking about an absolute miracle, right?
Right.
And what this means. And I would like for us to go back over these two because the simplicity in each of them, it's really important for us to understand how to call these into being, regardless of whatever the situation is. And I would love for you to go back over them if you
All
don't
right.
mind.
Okay. So Gabriel's horn. We haven't activated them yet. We're just talking about them and describing them, how they work. All right.
Yep.
So once they are activated, and it's only going to take a minute to do that. It's very simple. Once they are activated, you're walking along and you find yourself you're just depressed. You don't know what it's about, but you're thinking, oh God, why did I even have to get up today? Oh, wait a minute, I got a tool that could help me with that. Gabriel's horn. You don't have to say it, remember, you can think it. And gosh, right in that instant, you've got a contingent of archangels. These are the creme de la creme of the angel crop. They are wonderful, and they have a great sense of humor, and they instantly manifest in your energy fields, standing right there with you. And I think it's impossible to continue to feel depressed when they are with you, because they are at such a high vibration. When I talk about vibration, we all vibrate at a certain frequency. And when you're depressed, boy, your vibration is pretty low. When you start feeling better, when you start thinking about things that make you happy, when you start moving into happiness, you start vibrating more rapidly. And the angels will assist you to move into that new energy of a higher, more joyful feeling just for being alive. I gave the example of being with someone that not necessarily a lover or a person that you're very fond of, but someone that just is a great person. You love being around them, and you just feel uplifted when you hear them or you see them or you talk with them. Well, imagine how expanded it is with an archangel. They are your friends. They'd love to be your friends. Mm-hmm. Archangel Michael told me once, here's what he said: I am beside you always, lighting your paths and singing glorious songs of hope and freedom for you to hear with your heart. You are never alone. You are always loved and supported. I really care. They really do. They're not some sort of androgynous, well, they are kind of androgynous, but they're not some sort of remote beings that, they're looking at us and just hoping that we make it through whatever we're going through. They want to help, but you ask first. Mm-hmm. Right? So that's Gabriel's horn. Got angels standing around just supporting you. The other one is angels everywhere. You can be driving down the road and you see somebody, oh God, there's an accident over there. Angels everywhere. Just call the angels in, and they're going to do everything they can to support an ideal outcome of that accident. Now, if the person involved in it was really bent on causing themselves some harm, they might even be able, your angels everywhere gift to that person might even help the angels to step beyond that line in the sand and help this person beyond what they normally would be able to do. So it's powerful for yourself, and it's powerful for you to help other people. You wouldn't use it to say, like, angels everywhere, please help my boss be not such a nasty person so that I can stand to be at work. You could just say, angels everywhere, help the people that I work with to uplift them so that we can all have a better experience.
Well, can we do this? What I would like to do is I want to pause for a minute. And Benny and I used to do this like 24/7. And I actually, it's one of the things I'm bringing back to the Dr. Pat Show. And that is for us to count down 3, 2, 1, and together, let's first do Gabriel's horn and then angels everywhere, because there is immense vibrational energy over these airwaves. Immense. All right. And you're bringing 2 extraordinarily powerful tools. And I would love for us to take a moment, pause, and have you bring these to bear with us right now, one at a time, and invite all of us to get ready to heal the wounds.
All right.
So, Joy, would you please do this?
We got to activate them first, okay? All right. So If you're driving, you need to pull over, or you need to listen to this later, because this is only going to take a minute, less than a minute, to activate them. All right? So shut your eyes. And you're going to see a screen. Pretend to see a movie screen, computer screen, or whatever kind of screen you prefer. You've got your eyes closed, but part of you is seeing this screen, even if you're just seeing blackness in front of you. Okay. On the screen, I've loaded these Gabriel's horn and angels everywhere. And a part of you sees it, like I told you. Now, all you got to do is you just ask silently, Creator, is it okay for you to put these two different processes in place for me, to activate them for me? And you just tune in with your own sense, your knowing, your feeling, or however you get your guidance, and just wait to hear an affirmative from the Creator that it's okay for the Creator to do that for you. And I'll be silent for about 5 seconds. When you get your affirmative, just think or say, yes. Now we got the triggers activated for us, okay? Everybody that's listening, if you followed the screen, if you got your affirmative and you said yes, the Creator said, okay, you got them. And they'll work for you forever. They never run out of energy. They'll always work. So I'm ready to do what you want to do, Pat.
I want to start with Gabriel's horn.
Okay.
And I would love to have everybody listening to the show to take a moment to pause. And if you're driving, please pull over.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in the middle of typing something on computer, put your hands down. If you're thinking you're going to text to people, don't worry. We're going to be posting this, exactly what we're talking about later today, to our social media. But right now, we're ready to tap into first Gabriel's horn and then angels everywhere.
Okay. So, you want to count down?
Go for it.
All right. And remember, you can say it out loud, which I'm going to do, or you can just think the words. All right. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Gabriel's horn. You got the angels with you for 11 full minutes. Take in a deep breath. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Gabriel. Thank you, Raphael. Thank you, Uriel. High fives.
Mm-hmm. I invite you all to do this, because this energy here it's like the thing that heals the wounds. And one of the things I love, Joy, about what you do is there's no quota. Like, you can only do this one time. No quota. We don't have a quota here.
Right.
Do it as many times as you like.
Right.
Now,
let's do
angels everywhere.
All right.
Powerful.
So you got that one activated for you too. If you've got someone in mind that you would like to send this to, you've got a relative that's sick, or someone's in trauma or distress, you can say angels everywhere for, and then fill in that name for that person. But first, let's use it for yourself. If you've got a situation that you've been struggling with, you can say angels everywhere, help me to change this dynamic of such and such. All right. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Angels everywhere.
Angels everywhere.
Everywhere. And I'm sending it to a few people that I love.
Me too.
Here's one for my son, Michael. Here's one for John. Here's one for my brother and his family. Here's one for everyone involved that's worrying about the, presidential election. Still, angels everywhere for you folks. Here's one for the soldiers that are involved in any kind of war. Angels everywhere for all of you. Here's one for the people that are in hospitals or in prisons right now. Angels everywhere for you.
Mm-hmm.
11 minutes this lasts. And you, like I say, you can use it throughout your day. Start cleaning up your floor. Start manifesting what you really want instead of the things that you might have been manifesting, because we're ready. That's the way of the future. Clarity, instant manifestation, You want to be clear when we move instant manifestation.
Yes. And I want to say this in closing. For those of you, please go to joyelaine.com. We're going to be taking this pieces of this segment, Joy, and we're going to be pulling them out and sending them to our social media separately with images of angels everywhere. We'll have an image for that, plus the audio, plus the vibration to pay it forward.
All right.
It's powerful. And also we'll make sure that folks can find out more about you, more about the mission, and more about the books. We've got about a minute left. Last question. What's your personal message, Joy?
The way of the future is in your hands.
Boom.
Believe it or not, you are designing your own reality. So as you're releasing these roller coaster emotions and you're deciding what you want your life to look like, help yourself get into neutrality and use these trigger processes as often as possible. Because the way of the future is on the path of joy.
I love it. Gabriel's horn. Angels everywhere.
Everywhere.
We'll see you next time. Stay tuned for another hour. Transformation Talk Radio.
I can be saved. Tides that I tried to swim against brought me down upon my knees. Oh, I beg and plead, singing, come out of things unsaid. Shoot an apple off my head and a trouble.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.